Hi, I'm Fanshin Cox and welcome to the TruJuLo YouTube channel. TruJuLo is all about uplifting stories that speak truth in pursuit of justice in service of love. Thanks for being here. Please click on the like button if you like this video. Make sure you comment and subscribe to our channel because you'll be getting lots of content on storytelling, producing, lots of other things to help change the face of Hollywood. Make sure that those of us who are out here telling stories actually look like what the world looks like. So you came here because you want to know how to become a producer in Hollywood. And I actually am a producer in Hollywood. And so I'd love to share with you some things that I've learned along the way around how to really enter into the industry as a producer and become successful. So the very first question, of course, that makes so much sense to ask is, what does a producer do? Producer has so many different meanings, even if you look at these two films. So here's one of my favorite films of all time. It's Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. And here are the credited producers on this film. You kind of only see two, right? But then we look at this film, The Farewell, and look at all of these credited producers and start to keep an eye out on films and TV shows when you watch things and see how many people are listed as producer. So I actually asked some of my friends and family to share, what does a producer do? So here's them sharing that with you.
I believe that a producer puts together all of the ideas, what's written, what was talked about a movie together to make the movie happen.
Hello, my name is Tatoranta Mosa. I'm a writer-director of Memoirs of a Black Girl, a coming-of-age feature film that is just coming out in the fall. What does a producer do? A producer does everything. It depends. For pre-production, the producer will probably be looking to secure grants or funding for the film, talking with investors. Some producers are just creators. Some executive producers just give the money, but are not really involved with the film on a day-to-day basis. And during production, a producer may be keeping everything intact, which means they may be dealing with some logistical stuff, or they may be dealing with contracts and all of that. So a producer is really sort of like a business person in the film.
A producer gets it done. I know that sounds vague, but it kind of is. A producer just needs to focus on the details while also considering the bigger picture at hand, and have a strong vocabulary for the vision that they have or the story that they're trying to tell. A producer is tenacious and a hustler, but most importantly, a producer is a friend. I get all my work through the relationships that I have.
One place, a great resource for you to go to learn lots more of this, is the Producers Guild of America. The PGA has lots of info because they are there to support producers. So take a look at their website, especially take a look at their Code of Credits page. The Code of Credits page kind of breaks down the expectations for these different roles of producer. So you can see what an executive producer does or gets credit for is not necessarily the same thing as a line producer, for example. But you didn't come here to find out what a producer does. Maybe you already knew that. What you came here to find out is how to become one. So I've got some tips for you, some ideas around what's important for you to know before you become a producer or as you start to enter into the world of producing to help you be successful as a producer. Number one, most importantly, you have got to love storytelling. I've loved stories since I was a little girl. I always wanted to not just watch them everywhere I could, but also to tell them. I love acting stories out. I love helping other people act stories out. So I love stories, and you absolutely have to in order to be a producer. Okay. Now, I know this one sounds discouraging, so I'm going to give you, just before I even flash this on the screen and tell you what this next kind of skill is, or something that would be helpful for you to become a producer, don't be discouraged by it. Keep watching to the end of the video, because I want to mention this, but it is not the end all and be all of you becoming a producer. But absolutely, if you have money, you can pretty much become a producer tomorrow. Filmmakers are always looking for financing their projects. So if you've got money, you can say, yes, I will pay money for this project if I get credited as a producer. In that case, you'll likely be credited as an executive producer, which is a great credit to have. Nothing wrong with that at all. But you can negotiate with your money. Even if you have a little bit of money, a lot of times you'll see, for example, on Kickstarter or Seed and Spark, other crowdfunding campaigns, that they'll offer you a credit for donating a certain amount. So if you've got money, you can become a producer right away. Listen, if you got money, make a note in the comments and I'll take your money. So the next thing is definitely relationships. And this is like a cliche because everybody says all the time, in order to do anything in Hollywood, you need to have relationships. Some of us are really lucky that we were born into families that are already in show business. Some of us have friends. Absolutely, you should not deny that if you have that kind of privilege and that kind of relationship, you already have this extra leg up that a lot of people don't have. But the beautiful thing about relationships is you can make them. This is something where privilege does not have to block you. I'll give you an example of how I've built relationships that served me once I became a producer. So many years ago, I started a podcast. I'm an OG podcaster. I started a podcast called Mixed Chicks Chat, and it was for people who identified as mixed. My dad is Jamaican. My mother is white American. She's Blackfeet and Danish and Cherokee. And I thought it was important to share stories about what that means. So I co-created a podcast. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is I wanted to help people tell their stories. We were highlighting all of these people on this podcast who wanted their work out there, who wanted people to know who they were, who wanted people to hear their stories. And we supported them in doing that. So we created this space for community to come together and experience this together. By doing that, I was starting to develop important relationships that would serve me once I did start to officially produce, which was with my one-woman show, One Drop of Love. I started writing the script and I knew I wanted to take it around, across the country really, and perform it and have a lot of people see it, but I wasn't sure how I was going to have that happen. Before I had even finished the script, my friends in the community were already reaching out to me and saying, we want to help you with this. So I actually had booked my first show before I had even finished the script. So as I started to produce, people already were there to support me. You can do that too. Let's think about some ways. So if you don't have a lot of money, but you have a little bit of money, find the projects that people are working on. If you live in LA, of course, it's easier, but there are online forums. There's lots on Facebook, like Who You Know or the JTC list. You can join these groups and people are talking about the work they're doing. They're going to be asking for money. Give them $25 or $5. Give them what you can. You're starting to establish a relationship with them and they're starting to know who you are. If you don't have money, maybe you have the time. Maybe you're able to offer to be a production assistant on a set. Even if you've never done it, just say, I will go get coffee for everybody every day. I'll do something that you do in your daily life that can certainly help on a film set. It's gonna come back to you when you start producing. If you don't have money and you don't have time, and I know a lot of us, the reason that we don't get to see ourselves in Hollywood is because we're busy working. We are busy. But you are watching this on a device and you have that device at your disposal and you can use your device to support people. Find projects and go on social media and shout these projects out and ask if you can talk to the director or just let people know about that project. That alone is a great way to start to develop relationships. Okay, Number 3, and actually it's not number 3, all of these kind of go together. So there's no priority order because this one is super, super important. You have to learn filmmaking, because a producer, and that's true if you're a line producer, you're on the creative end, you're on the physical end, no matter what, you should know what everybody on set is doing. You should at least get a little taste, a little understanding of the entire process of getting a story made. So from the beginning, from the development stages, from the seedling of the idea, all the way through to when you see it in the movie theater. Some producers actually think that once you finish shooting, suddenly it just magically appears in the movie theater, and they're wondering, why does it take so long? We finished the shoot. Why is it taking so long? That's because you're in the editing process. Make sure you understand, and I recommend not only to understand it, but actually experience each piece of the filmmaking process. Really learn how to do every single aspect of filmmaking, because as a producer, it is going to help you tremendously to understand every single aspect. This is a fun one. Trust yourself. This one took me way too long to learn, so I'm gonna try to tell you, if you are a younger person, just trust yourself. Other folks are gonna tell you your ideas are bad, or why do you like that kind of movie, or why do you like that kind of TV show. The important thing is you like it. And if it's on TV or at a movie theater or streaming online, the only way that got to be there is that somebody believed it was going to make money. So somebody believed that there is an audience for that, and that might be you. Trust what you love. But, quick story. In my early days of starting to be a development executive, someone brought me a sci-fi script, and I was like, I do not know. I don't like sci-fi. One of my best friends is a Trekkie, and I love her so much. I respect her so much, but I never felt a connection there. But as I read this person's materials, they said, I was raised by a Black single mother, and my sister is a Black single mother, and I want to make sci-fi icons where they can see themselves reflected, and I was sold. And I realized that I had written off this entire genre just because in reality, I had never seen myself or seen anybody that looks like my family in this genre. But here, this person was saying, listen, we belong here. We can be heroes and icons of this. And I was like, yes, and now I like sci-fi. One of my favorite shows is Discovery. So even though I know you've got your genre and that's important and you trust yourself, but also stay open. Maybe there are new genres that you didn't think you liked, and it was just because you didn't get to see you in them. What if you are the catalyst for the rest of us getting to see someone like you in those genres? And finally, most importantly, you can scrap everything else that I've said. This is the most important thing. Go for it. Don't let anybody stop you.
Be your authentic self, fearlessly so. Rest assured that absolutely no one knows what they're doing. Get to work, make friends, tell them what your vision is for your life, and just keep going.